Okay, good afternoon, investors, punters, dribblers, and traders. Welcome to another Traders Community podcast, brought to you by Elon Musk today, it appears. A big day, as far as the market went, set up very nicely from the end of the month, end of the quarter and month last Wednesday. They took the stock markets all the way up. Then it kind of went sideways Thursday and Friday with that jobs number, with the market confused between what high rates actually mean and what bonds versus stock markets actually mean, and plenty of different theories out there. It's very different times with QE, record or massive inflation, right across the commodity, fear, wars, the whole bit, right? So anyway, without further ado, we got the glorious Madavi here, and the man they call Meta Johnny. So, of note today, that we should remind that this is not financial advice. We're just following up on our different trades and what we see, and hopefully that helps you a little bit. And what we hear around the desks and stuff like that in trader land. So you have to start off today really with Elon Musk, who we worked out added about 700 million just on his Twitter punt that he obviously put together over the last few weeks. My view is that part of it is actually a troll. He's been aggravated, like many, of not controlling what he wants to say, free speech. He's hardly of the racist persuasion or anything like that. Obviously, the SEC has a view towards manipulation, all that sort of stuff. But anyway, at the end of the day, he's now got the largest shareholder in Twitter. That pushed the market up with people wanting to follow Musk, perhaps. And a lot of it probably short covering, don't you think, Madhav? So if we'll go through that later on, but so the market was set up on Friday, and then you had the mega caps just have a massive day as well. And one thing really I've noticed, so those stocks have been trading well. The punters have really been doing well of late. Tesla's obviously one of their favourites, and that had another big day. Apple's another one there, and some of the other story stocks or whatever. We have been talking about the dribbler stocks, the dribbler favourites, as we know. Some of them have come up quite well. Remember, you play them when it's almost a given that they're going to chase those, not the catching knife bit, because at that point, a lot of them are blowing up. But as they come strong again, they tend to buy highs, sell lows. So we've seen a little bit of that as well. And energy markets, oil bounced back strongly. Remember, it sold off last week from the SPR release talks that President Biden and then got other countries involved in. That came out around 107.80, 108 WTI, got down at 99s. We are back at just under 104 here at 103.70, as you can see. So where'd we finish? Natty, back that 5,774, up on the day, sitting under 6. Fair bit under 6. SPX 45.87. Russell just short of 2,100. Nasdaq over 15,000, and volatility just sold off continually. It's been selling off since those highs of 36 last week, and here we are at 21. That's a massive move. That's lost a third of its value. Okay, so that's with S&P. We continued much the same as I said last week. Once it got over that daily and weekly, you had all your confirmations. If we look at that, remember down here, it busted. Actually, here's where we got in on our 240 and plus 28. So if you're not following us on these podcasts, I would suggest to yourself a favor, because we give good insight what's going on. with what actually the traders and houses of actually who manage size and money and experience, rather than the dribblers that just repeat stuff over and over. That stuff's after the event, and yeah. So pretty straightforward. Then we got through that channel. It went further than what we thought at first, right? But it enabled you to get back in on the daily. So pretty clinical. Here's actually a breakdown level, potentially. So remember, it's clear what it is, one of two choices. That's your weekly. On your daily, it's even, you can really count it out. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The bear means this has to be 1, 2 down, right? Or AB, however you want to count it. But you don't want it to go above this. And this was critical. It got back over the tanking, right? We saw that on Friday. It closed right at it. So these are big levels to watch and understand, and how that works inside the whole Nova Wave concept. If we look, and so basically all we've done, and on Friday, we had that perfect ABC. Then as we opened up today, you put that back on. Obviously, it wasn't worth the risk over the weekend. Vol was cheap. Yes, you could have done it with puts and stuff, or buy calls. That's the way. What we did was buy calls in Apple, if you recall. Out of the money, we bought the 80s. That was obviously a really nice play. Took in, it was a 4x move. Being aware of that stock, the optionality, and the potential there. Anyway, you can see how that just dribbled up from spat the old 88, spat this low, and then we've just dribbled up all day. That's your hourly. So that was a very simple, easy trade per the rules. Really didn't have to do anything. What did you see on the Nasdaq, Madavi? You there, bud? Or you might be on a call real quick. Yep. Let me check. Not here, Madavi there. So let's quickly go through these markets right here. So, whoops, sorry. So let's go on to energy. You can see here on energy. I'm going to start off with oil. So again, the 50. So this has been magical, just very simple. The 50 moving average on the daily and weekly. It's my go-to, other than on Natty. The 40 is really good. 50 is useful there too. But the 40, also, there's so many old school people use it that it becomes almost self-fulfilling. So we saw that low last week, right? After the Biden initiative on the SPR. So we've come back and held that. You can see we're on the highs of the session right now, and above us resistance is at tanking. Okay, pretty clear. We spat over here twice, which is telling you there's people short underneath here or put on hedges or whatever. We know that the open interest is really, really low, like at multi-year lows for oil. That's for a couple of reasons. One of them is the margins have gone up so much. The spreads are much wider, so there's less volume. A lot of risk managers would have you away, and we've spoken before about the bonds that are out there, commodities. On the weekly, you can see what it did. It's basically come back partially. It didn't quite get to the Cajun to give you a perfect setup there. So keep that in mind about the daily. The downside may not be over. If we go to the 240, you get a good picture of what's holding it down, right? This 50, it broke it, held. When it went, see how it becomes quite the pivot? It needs to get over this to go up, or this resistance with the cloud above it gives you that potential. So keep an eye on that 240.50. You have your above here, if it gets over here, your first resistance is going to be that 4.8. Assuming it gets over this cloud. 8.8's the downside, as we just saw, was those previous lows, which show up on the Cajun. And this is right, on the weekly, and here's your spit on the daily. Okay, natty. Let's have a look at the little Natgas. So lots of this is to do with the political side that's going on in Europe, with Germany being the country that's probably created the most problems here for the rest of Europe, being their entanglement with Russia. So that keeps this bid domestically. And go through the Vortex series. It's on the website. It gives you a good overview of the fundamentals and technicals. So you can see what's happening here. We do have a lot of work here, obviously around 7-8. Funny how that works, right? And if we go to the daily, you can see, remember, this was that break, and it's just been working its way up. We are at plus 2/8 now, which gives you overbought. And you can see here on the daily what we saw on weekly. So it would have to really get power to do this without some kind of recount. It's all possible. Remember, there's two alternatives here also. So the bearish is you're just retesting this. Bullish is this was the retest of that major move from under $2. Okay, do you hear me okay? Are you back, Madavi? So, well, let's just carry on. Commodity-wise, other than that, the big move has... So for some reason, Madavi's coming through very quiet here. There may be a problem with the microphone. We're not picking up. Not sure why that is. It was coming through earlier. So you can see here, so gold has been one. We're still in that pennant. So we're locked between the Cajun and the Tenkan. Remember, we went through all of these on the weekly. So if you want to look at the charts, they're right there for you. So on the weekly report that old cautious investor works with. And there's the Nova Wave charts on there. You got your week ahead and your week behind. So it gives you a good overview of everything that's going on. So if we were to go to copper, you can see we've got again over this old trend line. And it's funny how that, if you are familiar with things like medium lines and stuff like that, you can see that it's spinning over side. So it's a simple fractal, and that suggests it's a mixture of what's going on with COVID, existing hedges versus speculation trapped above here. So we're seeing that there. And then if we go to the other beans, so I'm just going to do this quickly if you didn't see them. So wheat, remember that, still in this pennant. Soybeans, we came under all this. So a lot of these rolling tops. And someone may be, well, I thought there's a shortage. Yes, but price does get ahead of things. That's why we've had all these big pullbacks. Okay, so let's look at stocks. Well, let me look at the Nasdaq. Unfortunately, we're having communication problems right now with Madavi. It's not coming through. I can't hear him. If you can hear us, Madavi, if you can log back in and out. I'm not sure if you're in some trades. I see you there. So a Nasdaq, very similar. You can see it moving up and down here. Exactly the same as the S&P, just a little bit laggard. And on the 60 minutes, remember, Apple is a major part of this. Obviously, Twitter's part of this. But at the end of the day, it drags things up with them. So, right, we can dismiss that, but you can see what it's doing. And again, very clinically technical. See, previous breakdowns, previous lows. That's why you watch order flow, you watch sentiment, fears obviously out of the market, confusion range, every single expert is going on and on about the high rates. All that's built into price. Computers are a little bit different. They run a lot of this. So keep that in mind. The economy is not the stock market. So let's see what's going on there. As we've talked about, the bond market is pricing in basically high inflation, and the Federal Reserve chops it off, so then it kills growth, which is the theme of the week. As far as individual stocks go, so we can talk through them. I was hoping Madhav was just having problems, unfortunately. But he did a great call this morning. He got that, or early morning, 5 or 6 in the morning. 5 o'clock, I think, getting that Musk news. So he was able to buy Twitter and then sell DWAC, which is the Donald Trump truth, social truth or something. But and nevertheless, that's his thing. So DWAC come off hard, and Twitter went up strongly. So where is Twitter? So you can see Twitter went out on Friday, right around here, like just over $39. And probably a lot of calls, because remember, a lot of these have been trapped. So there's a lot of people probably short calls, and couple that. So the reason I say that, it went to 51, came back down to 47, back up to 51, slight new high, and this is all at plus 1/8, and then it closed near the lows of this run in the afternoon. Nice measured move for those that just want comparisons with maths. Funny how this works too. Remember, machines don't have feelings. 0.8 to 8/8, minus 1/8 to plus 1/8. So that's Twitter. So what I want to show you now is we'll put in DWAC, and you can see, so what's key is just being aware, knowing your markets and where to go to. So DWAC, as I said, was, we call it Donny. So you can see they got up to 100 not long ago, over 100, well over, and it's just coming down. So it was already under pressure coming into today, right? So it already was coming into pressure, and then Twitter comes out. That's like, the legs on the neck, and then that came off pretty quickly. For some reason, I know Madhavi's there trying to talk, but I can't hear it. So hopefully that's coming through on the podcast. I don't think so. We got some communication issue. Anyway, it was a great trade. He shorted DWAC on the news and bought Apple. Twitter. You couldn't go to better replication. So look at that, down $10. It was already down here. Remember, this minus 2/8 is... Let's see if we can shorten this up. So you can see where it got to, right? This is why the minus 2/8. So plus 2/8 was this run up to 138, and we hit that. So perfect symmetry down here at minus 2/8, right? And then, so there was probably some people going long here, right? Double bottom, then it broke under that, because obviously that's one of his competitors. So I guess the feeling is, okay, and plus there's a lot of anti-Donny people, at funds out there that are very much backers of, Democrat campaigns, or just generally don't like Trump. So there's that anyway, right? And then, so anyway, you break that double bottom. I hear some life.
Can you hear me?
I hear you very, very softly now. Did you log back in and out?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it's so...
Can you hear me better?
I can hear you better, but it sounds like you're down in a coal mine with Elon Musk counting all your money that you made today.
Yeah.
So I can barely hear you. And I'm not sure why, to be honest.
Don't know. How about now?
I hear you, but it's very soft. Have you got yourself? So, welcome to the joys of communication, everyone. It sounds like that Verizon.
Well, I'll work on the audio. You keep on continuing.
Okay, thanks, mate. Okay, so often those plays work together. There are other social media stocks that some of them. So this is a direct competitor with Twitter. Given if you're going to go with, hey, he's going to make Twitter more freedom of speech and all that sort of thing. Okay, so there was other things like Pinstripe or Pinterest, sorry. Smaller ones like Grom that all got bid. So it'll be interesting how these play out. So that's Grom's a small one. Let's look at this.
Snap.
I can hardly hear. Hopefully the punters and dribblers and traders and investors can hear. So Grom was another one, right? Which is a small guy. So this is one that got some love, it looks like back in January, to plus 2.8, just under 220. It sold back down to when everything did in March. 85 got some love up here. I believe that was earnings. My memory, I wouldn't bet too much on that memory. But go look it up. But you can see volume did start coming back into this stock today. Didn't really do too much. So we'll keep an eye on this. There is an underbid there. Someone's been buying it here as it's been attempted to sell off, as you can see. So that's another. Pinterest was another one. Remember, Pinterest was the one with all the rumors that PayPal was going to buy them last year. Of course, that was all unfounded. No doubt someone trying to get out of their position. Am I too cynical? I doubt it. So this Pinterest, if you want to look, it got up here. I mean, so that was $90 odd last year. So let's not waste our time looking at that. But so this year, almost plus 2.8, same time as, so that Grom one we just looked at, similar. And then you can see it sold off all the way down here, created a double bottom at 21. And today it tried to go up, snaps another one. Which Madavi, he's kind of the master of the snap, did a great short on it, and we'll look at that real quick. Now, obviously, all this tech stuff obviously helped Tesla and Apple. So he had a hell of a day, old Elon today, yeah. So Snap, like all of them, went up initially and then started to come off at the end. So these are different. The question is, if, in my theories, this is nothing more than a troll, perhaps it's more than that. I mean, Elon is in power. It's probably a combination of that and working out what he can use as a vehicle, because I'm no doubt he wants his own vehicle, right, as far as communication goes. And he doesn't fit into the ideal person that Twitter wants spewing their theories and all that on the platform. So it's going to be interesting how it develops. Nevertheless, there are people out there thinking there'll be alternative people, that it's actually a takeover of Twitter and there'll be other people looking, or other people looking to accumulate, or these other stocks, or it means with his kind of money, things like Snap and that will really struggle. So it'll be interesting how all this develops. And I think that's pretty well it. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to share with Madavi because he really nailed this, and his thoughts would be very valuable on how all this is going to play out. So let's have a quick look. I hope we'll give him a little bit more time to try and get in. So as I said, oil had a good bounce, and no surprise there that we had a little bit of change. Some of the drilling stocks are up good. So there's one called BORR, BORR. There's P10 and there's RIG. They're kind of your main three drilling stocks. So you can see volume coming into that. BORR was actually up because it got a bunch of contracts. P10 I saw up earlier, and Rig was up earlier. So they're all up. As far as the bonds finished up, the 10-year rose 3 basis points to 241, with the 2-year coming off 1 basis point. Remember, that's kind of a flip of what was going on last week. So it's still an inversion in theory, but it's basically flat, right? 0.1. So it's not in theory, it is an inversion. 241 versus 242. All that means is a higher rate. So if you see that, that's also telling you that there's some profit making on that, or perhaps a little bit of change of thought in how bad growth's going to be, or how, or if they're going to get a handle on inflation. And that's really, really it. As far as data today, the only data out from the US was factory orders, which fell 0.5%. I can barely hear you, mate. It's actually got...
Okay.
Yeah.
It's maybe... I'll work on it tomorrow. Well...
Yeah, we'll work on it later, punters. Just to reiterate, so that was really good trading there. And just that's the advantage of being a pro trader, being right on the front line, bang, bang, and putting both those spreads on. Well, that was
exactly. Bird squirm, baby.
Exactly. So I can barely hear Madhav if you're wondering what I'm talking.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we get the ISM services or non-manufacturing and the trade balance out tomorrow. The trade balance is going to be for February. The ISM is going to be out for March. We also get the API number out for crude. And start keeping an eye more on these European numbers, because because what we get here is obviously Europe's just collapsing and dying and all that. So we look at their sentiment numbers. I meant figuratively mainland Europe. I wasn't really referring to the Ukraine. I meant the economy and morale, how that's going to affect it. And we just really get the agenda, the either press or the ECB in trying to calm everyone's nerves, etc. So it seems like a lot of confusion. The central banks really have had no clue since Adam was a boy. So that's it. So remember, like us. Do us a favour, like us. Share it with your friend if you like what we're seeing. If you find it useful. And subscribe. Have them subscribe as well. And we'll try to give you some more interesting information to help you trading and investing.